Listen up or run for cover. Dropping knowledge from the people who have it to the people who need it. The real Bradley is dropping
What it is, Brad Lee back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, kids, I got a real treat for you. I'm always bringing the treats. Samuel Knickerbocker. What's cracking?
Not much. Just loving being here.
Where's the last name from?
They say it's from Holland, but New York probably is the first place it's ever actually.
You ever heard of the store Knickerbockers?
Never heard of the store. Went to the Knickerbocker Hotel, New York Knicks.
Any relation?
Because it was created in like 1646 or something, then yeah, we're all related, but I don't know where.
Other than that, you don't know.
No.
Folks, if you guys aren't following Samuel Knickerbocker, that's probably because you've never heard of him, but now you have. This dude is a financial wizard. You basically show people how to control their wealth or put it away. What do you do?
Great question. Yeah, for me, I focus more on the relationship aspect of it. I studied neuropsychology in college, half of it anyways, and then decided that I could have a bigger impact on society if I taught people how to manage their money and healed their relationship with money and their relationship with debt. And so that's what I focus on. I help people with financial products and things, but I focus more on helping them understand and heal their relationship so they can have a sweet, sexy relationship with their money instead of a sucky love-hate relationship.
Indeed, that sounds good. And you also have a podcast called Fuel Your Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
Since October of last year, there's like 130 some odd episodes. I do 3 a week. First one is like an introduction to
busy.
a topic.
What do you do all day?
Take care of our boys.
Oh, that's an even harder job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Three a week though. You hardly ever see them.
2 and 7 months old. So.
Oh wow, 2 and 7 months old, or 2 years old?
2 years old and 7.
Okay, I was like 2 and 7 months old. I'd be like, how'd you do that?
Yeah.
Awesome. Both boys?
Mm-hmm.
Well, congrats on the 7-month-old. That wasn't too long ago.
He's so cute.
Yeah, aren't they when they're small?
They are when they're small.
Not when they're 2 years old.
Yeah, when they start walking and talking, they get a little bit more of a handful. So when you say heal their relationship with money, do people have bad relationships with money?
Yeah, I would say most people, unless they've ever addressed it, some people, even people who come from like really wealthy backgrounds, you'd think that, oh, they've got money figured out, they know what they're doing, but many of them, because they've either taken it for granted, then they don't know how to actually respect it and grow it. So that's why you see a lot of the multi-generational wealth just disappears. One person will, like 70% of millionaires are first-generation millionaires, and then the next generation just wastes it all because they don't actually know how to manage it. They don't respect the growth and nurture of the wealth.
So you help people with that.
Yes.
Nice. So let's imagine all the people in the bomb squad wondering how can they heal their relationship with money. Let's give them a little bit of, let's drop a few bombs on that subject.
Okay. So the first thing I would encourage somebody to do is track their money. And if they say, well, I don't like to track my money, then I would ask them this question. When was the first time in your life that you didn't like reporting something? Were you 2? Were you 3? Because that emotional reaction to fear of reporting, fear of identifying as this is my report card, that emotion is holding them back from actually understanding and knowing where they are. And you can't actually make a decision financially and have any degree of like making a good decision if you don't actually know the facts of where your money is. You can't just go buy something, a new service, Netflix for instance, $12 a month or something, if you don't know where that $12 is coming from, or what do you have to give up to get that $12. Now some people say, well, I'll just make more money. That's great. How are you going to do that?
Are you dialed in that?
What is more money?
Are you dialed in that specifically?
When I go through with my clients, yeah, I go through penny by penny of
but
their
for yourself, money. Like you can't buy Netflix without checking where it's coming from.
I don't have that relationship of like fear. So the ultimate goal is to get people to stop fearing money because it's a tool. It's not, money is no different than the water bottle here. Like it's all just things. It's how you use it. And if you don't know how to use the tool and you're misusing the tool, then that's not helpful. So I track all my money penny by penny, just to know where it is, There's no emotional. If I have a little bit of debt on this side or more wealth on this side, doesn't matter. It's just, do I know where I'm at or do I not know where I'm at? And there's no emotional response of fear or anxiety if I happen to be paying interest on a credit card. It doesn't matter. Like, what is that money that's on that credit card doing for me? Is it an investment or is it just frivolous spending?
Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize they get too in debt on credit cards. Their payment is pretty much interest only, which means they're never getting out of debt.
Yeah, and they don't know how to like refinance that debt, never think about it, and then just keep going.
Yeah, or they get in a situation where they only have a certain amount of money left over every month, and you can't get out of debt if you're limited to what you can earn. So you heal the relationship with money by telling them, first track your money. Then what do?
Once they track it, then they can actually make a value judgment, right? If I know I'm overspending, I meet with clients all the time and they're spending, this is funny to me, but $800 to $1,500 a month on fast food for a family of 3 to 5 people, right? It's insane. And maybe if you have a ton of money, but for somebody who's on a $40,000, $50,000 a year income, spending $1,000 a month, more than a quarter of a fifth of their money going towards fast food, it's not increasing their health, which means their health costs are going up. And then they're making this value judgment of paying $1,000 a month here instead of preparing for their future, either through investments, like investing in themselves or making their money work for them. They're literally eating their money.
So what if someone saved up $10,000 is all they have? What would you do if you were them?
If I was them, that's a different question. I would probably go put it in personal development. I would go figure out
Spend
how
it
can
on
I
learning
earn more.
something.
Absolutely. How can I be more serviceable?
See, if my bomb button was working, I'd be dropping a bomb on that one. Because, even Warren Buffett says that's the best investment someone can make.
Yeah.
You learn a new skill that can add to your accoutrements. That's a good investment. What would be the second? Like, what would be like an outside investment other than yourself?
It's got to be some type of appreciating asset. So that could take the form of what I would say, whatever you're maybe starting a business. At first would be investing in yourself to actually learn how to do something and then go add value to the world somehow. So now that you have this skill, if you just keep it yourself, you're basically being useless and squandering what you've learned. And so once you've gained a skill, go and share it with other people, because there's no in a webinar that I do, I talk about value exchange, and there's always some form of value exchange. There's a monetary value exchange and a non-monetary value exchange. And all these people, they freak out because they don't have enough monetary value in their life, and they just sit and don't do anything, and they're totally not even thinking about the fact that the reason is they're not adding enough non-monetary value. You start adding enough non-monetary value to society, it doesn't matter if your Mother Teresa, even though she herself was never super wealthy, people funded her missions. She had plenty of money for her cause. And so if you're adding enough value in the non-monetary side of the equation, the natural reaction is to receive the monetary value exchange. But you can't just focus on not having monetary value while not being willing to go put in non-monetary value exchange. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, it makes sense. So once you teach people this, do you help them invest, or because it says you have financial?
I do. So I'm licensed to market or help them with financial products if that's the direction they want to go. Sometimes some of my clients, they really like real estate. I don't touch real estate. I would refer them to somebody who's a real estate investor who understands that world. I don't pretend to. I work more on the management and the movement of money on that side. But all of that comes really secondary to, are they in a healthy place with their relationship with money in the first place?
Yeah, well, that's the thing I wanted to drill into, because that's a good subject. A lot of times people aren't making any money because of their relationship with it. They've been taught to fear it, to save it, to hoard it. They don't know how to grow it. They think that it's, you've heard this saying, money doesn't grow on trees. Well, where does it grow if it's not on trees? Isn't it made from paper? Paper's from trees. That's technically wrong. Secondly, I always heard growing up, save my money. But if you save money, you got to be saving it for something. Don't just save it to save it. Too many people out there are saving it to save it. You got to save it for a purpose, don't you think?
Absolutely. And even then, like in the world we live in, and this is, I'm not suggesting everybody go do this, right? If you're going to do a strategy like that, but leveraging other people's money, if you want to go do something, leveraging other people's money is a thing. So like even if you don't have any money yourself, like why are you saving for something? I'll share a personal example. I had my income was decent in end of throughout 2018. It doubled, almost quadrupled about tripled to quadrupled from 2017. But I wanted to take the next step. Like, how do I launch my income to the next phase? So in October, I went and met with a business coach. Now, I didn't have the money on hand to invest in this business coach, but I put that money on a 17% AMX card, right? And people would be like, well, that's crazy. Well, I calculated how much interest I'd pay over, if I didn't pay anything off on that card over 2019, how much interest would I be paying? It'd be like $3,000, right? Which people are like, that's a ton of interest. Well, within 3 months of working with that business coach, my income increased $3,000 a month. So now I'm net positive, like $36,000 a year income increase. I'm paying $3,000 of interest. I'm net positive $33,000. Like, I don't care that I paid $3,000 a month in interest. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, well, that's a good mindset. So how do you help people think that way? Because a lot of people will not think that way.
I talk to them about their childhood a lot of times because that's where
Is that where it stems?
That's where it stems. Like people, they've been taught from multiple financial people to stay out of debt, avoid interest. You're only losing on the side of interest. And I think that it's not necessarily wrong, but it's if you aren't being intentional with your money, then that's probably true. But if you're being intentional and you know the rewards that you can get out of it, then you're leaving a lot of things on the table. I can't think of any businesses that were started without debt.
Yeah.
And really major successful ones, right? They all went through a period of either crowdfunding or investors or somebody said, hey, look, I have this idea. I can sell this idea and let's go make it happen. People said, yeah, I'll help you build the back system so we can go sell this. Like everybody starts in debt. And it's how do you manage that and make sure that the debt that you're using is actually for your benefit and you're not just sitting there with a bunch of education that's not going anywhere. You're not adding value back.
Yeah, where'd you learn all this stuff?
Good question. I studied neuropsychology, like I said, before I got into the financial industry. I came from a family of 11 kids and just dirt poor
You Mormon?
poverty. So one woman, all one
No,
at a
I
time.
said, are you Mormon?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we are Mormon.
My brother's Mormon.
Yeah.
He tells me I should be.
Hey,
I'm like, look, I'm still seeking. But
it's a great religion.
well,
And,
usually when you hear
well,
11
okay.
kids, that's usually, Mormon or
Catholic.
Latino.
Yeah, Latino or Catholic. Yeah, sure. They're kind of synonymous.
Well, again, I have like I think 8 or 9 brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
One of them's Mormon. He claims like our whole family used to be Mormon. Then my grandmother came along and she was Catholic and switched us over to Catholic. And then when I was growing up, there was really no main faith. It was just make sure you believe in God.
Yeah.
So
good.
how much money do you think you need to make to be like capable of making a decent investment over time to amount to something?
I think that the way I approach finances, that question's fairly irrelevant. I mean, the answer is as much as you can get, right? But the idea that I need a certain amount before I can start saving or before I can start investing is what holds people back and ultimately keeps them spending and going further into debt rather than saving. So if somebody has $10 a month to save, hey, you need to start building an identity of somebody who invests, of somebody who saves, of somebody who increases and contributes rather than somebody who sucks on society. And so many people, they've built an identity through different financial coaches of just paying off debt, and they've psychologically programmed themselves to be somebody who pays off debt. Well, now they get out of debt. Some people, I follow some on Instagram, debt-free community, debt-free journey, right? Awesome feats. In 8 months, paying off $86,000 of debt, credit card debt, which is why you have that much credit card debt in the first place. I don't know, but like
Because you bought shit you couldn't afford.
they pay it off, right? It's awesome that they are able to take whatever income they have, eat beans and rice or whatever they're eating, and do that. The problem is you follow their feeds, they get out of debt, and then they feel guilty going and buying a new pair of shoes for $25. They feel guilty spending money. They've programmed their psychological being to pay off debt, not to be wealthy. And so if you want to get out of debt, that's a great way to go. But if you want to be wealthy, you got to focus on what you want and focus on becoming wealthy. So it's not saying don't pay off debt, but make sure you're saving at least a little bit. So $10, $15 a month. There's plenty of places out there, from online banks to actual accounts, where you can get a decent rate of return, better than inflation. even with a $10, $15 a month contribution. And so building that identity is going to be infinitely more valuable than, say, $100,000. Right? You give somebody $100,000, you maybe get 5, 6, 7% rate of return on it over the last 20 years. But if you build an identity of I'm wealthy, I have money, now money starts flowing to you because you're in alignment with it.
Do you believe in a lot of that law of attraction type stuff?
It depends on how you believe in it, but yeah, I believe in it the way I believe in it.
Well, I believe in it.
Yeah.
I've used it. Dude, I dropped out of high school. I've never really learned about money except for maybe the last 3 or 4 years. And I've been foolish over the years. If I would have known now what I know, if I knew then what I knew now, I'd have 20 times the money. At least.
Mm-hmm.
But I blew it all. I was trying to be cool. Fancy
How'd that
houses,
work out
fancy
for you?
cars. Well, that's what happens. Most people, they'll get a lump sum of money and they'll go out and feel empowered to buy the nice cars and the nice houses, and then their money's gone, but the bills aren't, because even if you own a house free and clear, it costs money. If you own a car free and clear, it costs money. So they buy all these fancy things with the money that they got because that's what they see rich people doing. And then they're thinking, I'm rich now. I got a good chunk of change. Then they spend the money to live like the rich lives. And then they don't realize that a paid-for house costs you money. A paid-for car costs you money. And they didn't think about, how am I going to make the money to sustain these things? Now their lump sum is gone, and they can't afford to keep all the nice shit. So now they start selling it all off, and then, that's the people that you hear, oh, they got a bunch of money, now they're broke. Well, they're broke because they didn't invest the money.
True. And
because if you gave me, for example, if I was a normal Joe and you gave me $10 million, most people will run out and blow the $10 million. Now they got a bunch of nice stuff that costs money, and dude, 10 million runs out depending on how
doesn't
fast
go very far.
Right. So if you took
world.
that $10 million, you did not buy a thing, just like you were just the same as you were, and you go invest it wisely, put every dime away. Well, now you're making, let's say, $600,000 a year. You can blow the 600 if you really want to blow money.
You can blow it every year.
Well, I wouldn't recommend that.
That's 6%.
I'd build it up because
I agree,
you want
but I'm
it
saying
more
you
than
could
10
if you wanted to.
Yeah. But see, I just learned that all my life. I've been just dumber than a box of rocks. I needed my relationship with money healed. So I should have met you a long time ago.
Yeah.
What were you, like 10 then?
Probably.
Saving your allowance?
Yeah. No, actually, interesting story. So you asked where I learned a lot of this. So I was homeschooled, 7th of 11 kids, grew up very, very poor. And when I was 10, 11 years old, I decided I didn't want to do schoolwork anymore. And my mom said, you got to go get a job or do homework. And so I actually started working full-time at 11 at a honey extracting plant first, and then went through construction and landscaping, did summer sales for 5 years. So I did a lot of things, but it's been a long journey of learning how to manage money. But even when I had my first job, I don't know if you know what the little Stewart's soda pops are. I spent almost all of my money as an 11-year-old on clothes or Stewart's soda pop. So what a waste.
What if you had it all back by now and I would have been invested since you were 11?
Oh, yeah. It had been, even just 10 years, it probably would have been close to $10,000 to $15,000 more.
Yeah. Well, now I'm 50, so now do the math on that.
Yeah.
So it's like, listen, that's why I thought it would be important to talk about this, because there's a lot of people out there making decent money, but they're not really taking the excess and doing anything with it, or they're just saving it in a normal bank account with this scarcity mindset where it's only earning 0.5%. And and then they're worried that it took them so long to build it up that they don't want to risk it, so they're scared. They don't want to buy anything, cash flow property, nothing. Mm-hmm. So they just hoard it, and they're scared that it's going to go away, and that's just the wrong relationship. Mm-hmm. You should take that money or reach out to someone that knows how to invest money. You follow Grant Cardone? Mm-hmm. See, again, like his cash flow property, again, you don't have to invest with him. That's just doing the big ones. Like, you can go buy your own damn building. Mm-hmm. You don't have to know much.
Yeah, you just have to know the right people.
And what's out there is you can learn it. Point being is you don't just hoard your money and save it in case something happens. You use the money to make more of it all the time. Your money should make money.
Yeah, and if it's not, it's losing money.
Yeah, you have an ebook. What's that teach you?
Yeah, so the ebook was really kind of a self-exploration of like, why do I do what I do? And for me, it's the 9 pillars to build a meaningful legacy. My mission is to help people gain the financial confidence to go build the legacy of their dreams, right? Everybody has a different goal, and I believe everybody has a different purpose on this planet. They all have different gifts, and so many people are not expressing those gifts. They're not developing those gifts because when it comes down to it, they either don't have the time, which comes back to they don't have the money, or they just know that they don't have the money to go focus on what they're passionate about, and they're focusing on providing for their family or other things. And I want people to be able to fully express their legacy that's important to them. And so the 9 pillars are really the 9 reasons why it's absolutely essential for people to create a legacy. Like it's in my opinion, it's your moral obligation to develop yourself and create your meaningful legacy, because I don't believe anybody else on this planet was here for that purpose other than you. And if you don't do it, then you're cheating the world.
Now, when you say legacy, define that.
So legacy, I asked this question on my podcast, and it's in 6 generations from now, what do you want people to be saying about you? Like, it's not money. It could be like Mother Teresa. She's got an awesome legacy. She was broke, and she had no money.
So what do people say about her?
Great things. That she was
Name one.
That she was a philanthropist, that she helped people, she served her whole life.
So that's her legacy.
That's her legacy of service and love and care. Right? And that's great. If that's your legacy, do it. And if that's what you're going to do, how are you going to financially make sure you're not dead and you have food, and the people that you're responsible for, your children, your spouses, how are they surviving as well?
What's your legacy going to be?
My legacy is for myself to help other people achieve their legacies and teach people how to have a healthy relationship with money and save families and children.
So, well, there was quite a few, and I threw my pen, so I can't write them down now.
Okay.
So the legacy, the main one that you're focused on, you want in 6 generations people to think that you help people generate legacy and you helped people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I help children, and I think where it started for me, when I started like moving into the legacy aspect, is we were abused as kids and didn't necessarily enjoy that, right? And then there's lots of people.
When you say abuse, like beat with the belt and shit like that.
Beat, switches, yeah, that.
You guys beat your kids?
No.
At all?
I yell sometimes.
Never beat them.
Swear at them sometimes.
No beatings allowed.
No, they get swatted on the butt or flicked in the mouth.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Well,
Yeah.
what'd you get? Like beat up?
Yeah, like my mom would hit us till like we'd bleed in the mouth, or she'd hold our breath if we were screaming. She didn't want us to make noise, and she'd hold put her hand over our mouth and cover our nose, so like you just couldn't scream anymore because there's no breath.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy stuff. And if you got
well, again, I'm defining what's abuse, because
no, for sure, there's a lot of different types
sometimes
of
a
abuse.
spanking they call abuse, and I don't really call that abuse. I
No.
call that discipline. But what you're describing, it would be borderline, if not definitely abuse.
So there's a lot of different types of abuse. A good point. So there's like physical abuse, and that's the one side of the abuse. The other side of the abuse is the verbal abuse and gaslighting, which is terrible for
What's
some.
gaslighting?
Gaslighting is basically where I come in and I smack you upside the head, and then I say it's your fault that I smacked you. It's like, what the hell? Like, how is it my fault that?
Dude, then I've been abused. Maybe that's I need to change my narrative.
That's gaslighting, right? So there's gaslighting, but then my dad, oftentimes he would just sit there and let it happen. So now not only do you have like the actual abuser, who was my mom, but then you have the neglect.
Well, your dad was smart. He didn't want to get abused.
Exactly.
She would have abused him.
Yeah. No. And I say this just for anybody listening. Like, I love my parents, and we have a great relationship now. My mom, like, if you can imagine, if you've had kids, then you can probably imagine this. If you're a guy and you haven't had kids, then just it's hard to imagine
Wait
for
and
me
see.
at least. But like having 11 kids, the hormonal crap that goes on in a woman's body, like she wasn't all right in the head during that point in time, and she knows it. All of us kids know it. We're all a happy family at this point, and I have an enormous amount of respect and love for my parents, and I know that they loved me growing up. They just it wasn't always the best way of displaying that love. I would never want anybody. I would never wish my childhood on my worst enemy. But on the other hand, like, I am who I am because of that, and I'm extremely grateful for all those experiences.
See, I wish I had a bomb button. Yeah, dude, I probably was abused, just don't know it because I don't factor it. I'd get my ass beat with a belt.
Yeah.
Like go around and round until I was black and blue on the butt. And if you put your hand back there, didn't matter. Then your hand and your ass was black and blue.
Or worse, like, it's okay if they hit your butt. It's like the lower thigh that sucks the worst.
Yeah, but I got my ass beat, but I didn't consider it abuse. I mean,
it was child rearing back then.
I don't do it to my kids because like I feel bad. Like I'll swat them in the butt and then I'll feel bad that I even did it. Mm-hmm. Especially when they look at you like, you're supposed to be protecting me and you just smacked me. One time I talked about this and I got a bunch of hate mail from people saying you shouldn't spank your kids. I disagree. I think I got spanked and it works, like, but not like, again, till they're bleeding out of their mouth.
Yeah,
you smack
aggressive.
them on the butt and it gets their attention. It's not even hurting them if you really think about it. Like they'll cry like it hurts, but it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I believe in a little swat or like you said, a little flick, just to get their attention. I do a lot of timeouts. What else do you do?
I work a lot, so
What else do you do?
ask my wife that question.
Well, my 2-year-old is the only one really getting disciplined, but he's really good. If I explain something to him enough, then he'll be like, "Oh," and he'll say that. "Oh, okay." That's what he says. So a lot of times, if I'm patient enough and I can explain it thoroughly, then he'll be like, "Okay."
Yeah,
Well, you got a good
she's
kid,
definitely more patient than I am now.
Yeah, mine won't listen long enough for me to explain anything.
I mean, I have to get his attention, hold his face, but he's pretty good.
So do you guys have a bunch of money in the bank? You've been saving for a long time?
I've been
Got good
saving
investments?
probably about 4 years. We have money.
Are you practicing what you preach?
Absolutely.
All right, just
Yeah.
making sure. Because a lot of times, dude, I'll give people advice, I don't follow it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll
There's
give you an
probably a
example.
level of that with everybody.
Well, I'll give you an example. I don't think you should drink alcohol. I think you're a dumbass if you do, but I'll go get a drink with you if you'd like. Because seriously, like, think about it. We celebrate by poisoning our bodies. That's poison alcohol. Alcohol's poison. But, I'll drink. So, like, I tell people, if they say, should I drink? No. Should I do drugs? Absolutely not. But and I don't do drugs, but I will go drink. So I do that all the time. You know why? It's easy to give advice and not follow it. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because sometimes the advice you're giving is hard to follow. And mostly it's probably because of their belief system, and it's the way they were taught to believe a particular thing. So healing their relationship with money, I think, is powerful. I think you should package that up somehow and go around the world and do it.
That's the goal.
Well, dude, somebody needs to do it.
I know.
We're taught as kids a lot of the nonsense that's not true. Who's unteaching us? A lot of times people will say, Brad, I got X amount of dollars. What should I invest in to learn? And I say, sometimes you got to invest in, unlearning.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You got to unlearn what you've learned.
Yeah.
People think, I love my parent. My parents, that's who taught me. Dude, doesn't make your parents bad just because they're wrong. Mm-hmm. Right.
And they did the best they could. I don't think I very rarely ascribe malintent to people, even if what I think they're doing is atrociously horrible, the worst thing that could be happening. I think a lot of people are either misinformed or they just don't understand what's happening. They don't understand the impact of their actions. And so I would never assign malintent to somebody, just like I don't assign malintent to my parents. Would I ever want that to happen? Heck no. Under no circumstances.
There was 11 of you?
Yeah.
Damn. 11. Was there 11 of you?
I'm the youngest of 6.
But her mom's the youngest of 14, so they made up for it on the other generation.
Yeah, I thought I had a lot, but my mom and dad were divorced when I was 2, and my mom kept on having kids, so the other ones were more like half brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. But I had a bunch of them, but I only lived with 5 after the age of 2, and 5 was a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because we just had 2 family reunions. We had ours end of July, and then hers 1st of August, and we had all of our family there, plus 2 or 3 kids apiece for most of us, and it doesn't feel like our family's that big. If you get us all squeezed into probably a room this size, then it feels like our family's I'm gonna probably leave because I get claustrophobic and have anxiety attacks. But when we're all in a decent sized house, it doesn't feel like I have a big family. And then when we went to her family reunion. There's only 6 kids, and everybody was there. But I was like, where is everybody? Like, where's the family? There's like a bunch of friends up here rather than like a family reunion. So it's interesting. You just get used to what you know, and then when you get exposed to something else, you're like, oh, that's.
And how old are you?
26. I'm pretty sure I'm 26.
26.
1993 is when I was born. So.
26 years old and already savvy about the cash. See, if I was 26 and savvy, I'd be super wealthy right now. So you got a bright future ahead of you, huh?
Absolutely.
That's good. Well, good. That's good. So I want to go back to where you learned it.
So a lot of trial and error, and then I actually went into school to figure out what was like to help my own self psychologically, figure out what was wrong with me and why. How could I help children and individuals avoid abusing their children or just avoid abuse, divorce, these types of things. And when I got into the psychological research, I was like, okay, just pure therapy, that's definitely on the back end. So then I went into neuropsychology to understand like how is the brain actually constructed and what impacts the actual development and structure of the brain. And that took me to biochemistry. So I started studying the chemical environment that not only you're in, but what chemical environment was your parents in when they conceived you, because that's ultimately what's creating your body. And it got back to across the lines in the research, one of the unifying things that was on almost all the research was the socioeconomic status of, that's how they're separating the different levels of brain development. I was like, that's crazy that people are going to stay in their either physical environment or chemical environment based on their understanding of how money works, because there's super wealthy people who make 50 grand a year, but they understand the rules of money and they're applying them. And then there's people who are multimillionaires and they go bankrupt if they miss one payment, right? It's just like the disparity has nothing to do with the level of income, but everything to do with understanding how money works and the rules of income.
Well, let's cover some of that so these guys get some free knowledge from Sam Knickerbocker. Give me a couple of the old rules of money.
So one's pretty basic. I think most people they probably haven't been taught it actually. The rule of 72, Albert Einstein created it, or discovered it rather, and it's really simple. 72 divided by any interest rate tells you how long it takes your money to double. And people know that as compound interest, and they've heard about it. They've probably done it in a math class, but nobody's ever applied it to their life, right? So people are graduating college. They're now $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, maybe $100,000 in debt, and they think, man, if I could just get $100,000, $200,000 a year job. So they work their whole career, 40 years, trying to get this $200,000 a year income. Well, if they started, let's say they started at a $50,000 a year income right out of college, and their goal is $200,000. Based on the rule of 72 and 3% inflation, that $50,000 is there to live that same $50,000 a year lifestyle, doubling every 20 years. They're going to need $200,000 just to live the $50,000 a year lifestyle. So they achieve their goal, right? They retire at $200,000 a year income, and they think they've increased something, but in reality, the value of their income, this goes back to the monetary exchange and the value exchange rather than the dollar amount. People are focused on the dollar amount, but they don't understand the value of what the dollar means. And so the value of their money is literally flatline. Like, it's the same constant. That $50,000 is valuable, the same value as the $200,000 in 40 years from now. And so they got what their goal was. They set their goal on 200,000. They achieved it, but there's the wrong goal. And so like you'll get what you focus on, but just adjust for inflation what your goal needs to be. People think, oh, if I had $1 million in retirement, I'd be set for life, or $2 million or $3 million. If you want to live a $50,000, $60,000 a year lifestyle and you retire today, you might survive on $3 million, right? But if your goal is $3 million in retirement in 40 years from now, you are so screwed. Like you're so screwed. And so just understanding how to use that rule and project what you're going to need so you can actually set an appropriate goal could transform your money completely.
So how would someone make more of it? Like, what if they're out there busting their ass 80 hours a week, they don't make any more money, and they need more?
Then they have to make a judgment call. Is this what I want? You have two options, really. You can choose to sacrifice today for what you want in the future, or what you want in the future becomes your sacrifice. So if I'm going to say, well, I love what I do. I love being this liberal arts degree, and I love getting $20,000 a year as a teacher, but I want this XYZ type of retirement, they're just not compatible. So you can either decide, hey, I want to live in poverty in retirement, or I need to change my career. And you got to do that and decide that younger and younger and younger because this world's moving at an increasing pace.
Change their careers, the answer?
The answer is identify what you want. Do you want to live in poverty or do you want to save
No, they
more?
want more money, but they already work 80 hours. Should they quit their job and try something new?
If I would say, what are they doing for work?
Driving dump truck.
For somebody else or for themselves?
Somebody else.
Okay, then if you're working for somebody else, you have no pay increase. And the value you're adding, that somebody else is paying you just enough for you not to quit. And if you're okay with that, then I would ask them this question, right? If you close your eyes and deep inside yourself, you say, hey, Samuel is going to purchase 40 hours a week of my life. Okay? I'm going to sell Samuel 40 hours a week of my life. What do I value 40 hours a week of my life at? He can tell me to do whatever the hell he wants me to do for 40 hours a week. I'm going to give him that much control. How much do I believe I'm worth at that? And then I'm going to make him put a dollar amount on it. And then I'm going to divide that out. And generally, it's like 3 to 4 times what their actual hourly wage is. As I say, so you're literally living out of integrity with who you believe you are.
Well, let's try it with Uriel.
Okay, let's do it.
Like, what do you got to say? How what are you trying to make?
Yeah, this is interesting.
Like, what do you
So,
want to make?
Yeah. Well, if you close your eyes, what do you think 40 hour or how many hours you're selling to him right now? Inside of yourself, what is that worth to you in a dollar amount? What do you believe your identity inside of your soul, what you are worth as a human being? What do you think 40 hours a week is worth to you?
And before you answer, I'll let you think on that a minute. What's good about sales is, in commission, is you're worth what you get. Because if you're not getting enough, it's probably because you're not doing enough. But with this exercise, if he were to say 50,000, doesn't mean he's worth 50,000. So you're going to get people thinking, I'm worth 50. Well, who says? Who says you're worth 50?
I agree. And that goes back into, okay, you think you're worth this. Well, where's the non-monetary value exchange you're giving to the universe to show that? And if that's not there, then you're not worth that. And then they're like, oh shit, I'm not actually worth what I think I am. And so then
what, they got to get an attitude adjustment?
Yeah, the whole thing is if you're not even aware of what your thoughts are and what you actually believe about yourself, how can you actually make a change?
I know, but Uriel's not just here because I'm paying him. Uriel's here because he also wants to build himself a future. Mm-hmm. This just happens to be a good vehicle to do it.
Agreed.
So sometimes it's not just the money that you're at a company for. Sometimes it'll be money, opportunity, and where it might lead. Who knows? But anyway, let's hear Uriel's deal.
Yeah, at this point in time, I would say.
No. What do you think? What did you say? What do you think when you close your eyes?
Yeah.
What do you think
40
you're
hours
worth
a week.
every week to sell 40 hours of your time? I'll give you my answer. You
Yeah, I'm ready for your answer.
To have me 40 hours a week, $20,000.
Okay.
So now what?
That's great. If you think you're worth 20 grand, are you making 20 grand?
I'm worth 20 million.
Okay. Are you making 20 grand? Are you
40
making 20
hours, we
grand
could
for
make
40
a
hours
$50 million company start. So it depends on what you're doing in those 40 hours.
Sure.
But if someone told me, Brad, come over here for a week and give me seriously 8 hours there for 5 days, I'll get 25 grand for an hour keynote. So when I say 20 grand, that's me being realistic. You're going to have to pay me $20,000 to spend a whole week with you. Because if I'm here, I'll make more than that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I have to value it somehow, but I wanted to be reasonable so it wasn't ridiculous. But I'd say 20,000. So now what?
Well, then I would ask, are you making that? And then it comes down to the value exchange, because you brought up a good point, right? Maybe there's other value that's still non-monetary value that you're getting back, right? So there's the monetary value and the non-monetary value exchange, but there's also a lot of non-monetary value that comes back, right? I add a lot of value into my family and my relationship with my wife and stuff. She's not paying me, right? That's not how it works, right? She gives me other non-monetary value rewards for
taking care of the kids.
Taking care of the kids, right?
Without complaining.
Even if she complains, it's still better than me having to do it, right? But it's it's a big equation, but it's just drawing contrast so people can start thinking. People are barely thinking about their life. They're just being told what to do, go to college, get a job with benefits, and then they are unhappy. One, because they're not doing something they're passionate about, but two, it's not actually getting to a goal that they're
passionate about.
I mean, for me, from a business perspective, and I love, you've been good at this, and I've listened to your podcast for a long time, but I've renamed the SMART goals for when I go to speak to employers. Is your vision for your company, is your mission, your crusade, is it sexy enough that it's holding your people's attention? If it's not sexy enough, if it wasn't so sexy that when that woman walked by, they got distracted off of your goal, then that girl's sexier than your dream, and they're not staying with you, right? So who's cheating on you? What of your employees are cheating on you?
They're all cheating on me, especially Uriel.
Is it massive enough that it needs other people? If you're just doing this goal and you're setting it for yourself that you can accomplish, how are you ever going to build a massive legacy, right? So is it massive enough? Is it audacious enough to create separation? So you're going to have the haters and the people who are willing to actually support you. If it's not audacious and you're not creating separation, it's harder to build a team unity if nobody's fighting you. And so is it audacious enough? Is it remarkable? Are people naturally talking about it? And then are you being transparent? Are you actually sharing your vision with the world, or are you have this company and you're not sharing it, right? Your tagline, and I'll probably screw it up, right? But it's getting the knowledge from the people who have it to the people who need it, right?
Yep.
And I love that, and that's a mission that I'm behind. That's why I have your system, right? It's getting that's something that everybody in any industry, like, this is a problem. Everybody can see it's a problem, and you're filling a need. And so you're getting a lot of people to buy into that sexy or that smart goal now, that smart mission, that smart crusade. It's not this, like, is it specific? Is it attainable? Like, who's setting an attainable goal?
Yeah.
Only people who don't want to, like, shoot for the moon.
Yeah, well, that's my mission, only because I think, there's too many bad things happening. And when you boil them down, why are they happening? It's because someone doesn't have the right information.
Exactly. Same in finance.
Teenage girls getting pregnant, it's because they didn't maybe have this parent or that parent. Well, why didn't the parent do anything? Well, maybe the parent didn't know. They had bad parenting. So if you just took all the knowledge that we have as individuals and shared it with everybody that needed it, there wouldn't be all that failure and all that pain and all that, all those problems. I mean, especially if you guys are Mormon. You guys send the missionaries out to share that knowledge. So you guys definitely live that same mission.
Yeah.
The whole goal is to just live in a world more successful, and it boils down to knowledge. Mm-hmm. So if I can get your knowledge, if this podcast reaches one person that wakes up and says, dude, I was listening to that dude, Samuel, and it made me think this, and I changed this,
That's a win.
even if one person
absolutely.
hears what you're saying and changes, that's why it's worth doing this podcast. Sometimes I get off the podcast, I'm like, I didn't even ask him any good questions. I just sat there and said stupid shit for an hour. And then I'll get letters, and people will be like, dude, that one you did with so-and-so changed my life. And I'm thinking, dude, that was the dumb one I did that I didn't even ask anything good. And sure enough, like, it changed someone's life. Well, that's knowledge being transferred. Right now we're talking, it's a conversation, but people listening, they're picking shit up we don't even know about.
Yeah. And it's
they're right now they're cursing me because I keep interrupting and I won't ask you the questions they would ask you.
I'll share a funny story with you about that, because we were literally driving in the car listening to one of your episodes, and she's like, Brad always interrupts people. It's so annoying.
He needs to let him talk.
And then, like, literally 2 minutes later in the podcast, you called yourself out on it, and it was hilarious. Because I heard you say that a lot of times.
I do it all the time because if I don't say something, I'll forget. So then I've been better because I take notes, but I still forget. So it's like, if I don't interrupt, I'll forget. And if I forget, well, then I might as well just come in here and say, hey, I got a great podcast for you. Here's Sam. And then walk out. Because if I'm not here, it's not really as cool as it would be if I was.
It's true. Well, at least nobody would be asking the questions and guiding the conversation.
Yeah, but I already know. See, I acknowledge. See, I know. Ed Milet, Ed Milet. He's real good at interviewing people, and he'll still, I do that to him sometimes. I'm listening, and then he'll go, oh, and I'm like, dude, he was getting to the good part. But when you're in the conversation, it's different. It's kind of like a fight when you start fighting. If I watch you two fight, I'll be like, dude, when he swung you and hit you in the face, you could have went like this, and you should have went like that. You ever done that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm always thinking, dude, you should have just uppercutted him. But when you're in the fight, you're not thinking the same.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out, how can I take your knowledge and give it to the bomb squad on making or investing or repairing their relationship. So what are the things Like that just got off on a weird track where I don't even
Yeah, it
know where
did.
you went. But let's talk about money. Let's talk about there's people out there in the bomb squad with a bad relationship with money. They're not aware of it either. That's what's crazy. A lot of people, they're not even aware that they're sabotaging their own success. So when it comes to money, what's one way that like people can start to heal that money? Track it first. Then you said you got to have a value judgment.
Right. You have to once you know where your money's going, then you can just ask yourself, am I okay with this? Am
Is that
I
okay?
with
What if they are, but they shouldn't be? How do you know what you should be okay with? Like, why did it take me all this time to learn I shouldn't have been blowing money like that? Even though it was fun and everybody
Yeah.
thinks, oh, he's cool. 20 years later, nobody remembers that I paid for that table and nobody remembers that I had that sweet ass car. Like, hey, remember that old car you had? No, they don't ever say that. So that car was not impactful. It wasn't a good investment. It made me feel good about myself. It was about the only good investment. But if I would have like just drove a normal car, took that money and put it away, I'd have 10 more of those cars, right? Because I invested it and it grew and
Yeah.
it grew and it grew.
If they're completely unaware that they should, well, here's the thing: if they're already tracking it and they're okay with it, and like, yeah, it's how I want to live, then I would say for how long? Like,
Well, I
you
think what most people do is this. They do the math and they're not okay with it, but they think, well, I need to make more money. Like, in other words, I'm buying diapers. Is that okay? Yeah, that's okay. You got to have diapers. Well, you're getting Pampers. You probably could live even cheaper. Well, to me, I'm buying
Yeah.
the nice shit, but at the end of the day, how do I make a little bit more? And once I make more, what should I do with it?
Yeah, so I love Grant Cardone's what he counsels people on this, right? He's like, okay, if you were to think like just today, how could I make an extra $10? How could I make an extra $100? What could I sell to make an extra whatever dollars, right? It's getting your mindset in the so they think I need to earn more money, but then what do they focus on? And why do they think that? They think that because of fear of not having enough. Rather than because they love wealth, they're thinking of fear of not enough, and then they end up trying to fit all of their expenses into a small jar and say, well, I don't know how to make more money. It ends there, and then so they're just not asking themselves the right question. So I love that question. Hey, what could I do? What skills do I have that I could earn extra money? If you're a mom, and maybe this is not the right option, but if you like are okay having kids and babysitting, I know in our community and in Utah, there's a lot of moms who are like, man, I can be a nanny. Pay me $5 an hour to watch your kids while I'm watching mine. I've already got 5.
Dude,
What's
is
another
it
two,
$5
right?
an hour up there? I'll do that.
Per kid?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but
$5
we
an
actually have a
hour?
nanny. I don't think we pay her that good.
Can't be $5
No, we pay her
an
$10 an hour. Yeah, it's $5 a kid.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, we pay our nanny $5 a kid.
Damn, I gotta move
hour.
to Utah.
And she's like cheap.
She's awesome, but she is cheap. They
Well,
charge.
yeah, that sounds cheap.
Yeah. Most of them want like 20, 25. But don't let
Yeah,
her
that sounds
listen
more
to this
like it. I was gonna
podcast.
say like $5 an hour. Shit, give me 2.
Yeah.
Let one take care of the kids. Let one rub the shoulders.
Yeah.
Then they can switch.
You gotta be careful what kind of babysitter you're talking about. But
Hey, just normal old babysitter.
yeah, interesting. No, but really,
Rubbing shoulders isn't bad, is it?
no. I'm just giving you a hard.
I'm just figuring out something else she could do.
Yeah, I'm just giving you a hard time, Brad. But no, really though, it's you start thinking about what could I do to add more value. Could I go buy some boondoggle and sell them on Etsy? Like, there's so many things that
What's
people can do.
boondoggle?
That's an old example. Probably it came to my mind.
The weaved plastic.
I don't even know how to describe boondoggle. It's like Boy Scouts.
They weave plastic into this cool little design, and it's a keychain.
Yeah, it's useless. Basically, it's a useless thing, but people buy it. But there's people. I mean, I have clients who they work for kids who do a YouTube channel of opening toys or playing with toys, right? There's so many things that people are making money at these days. The idea that you can't make money is, in my opinion, purely because you're not willing yet to add value to society.
Not willing or don't know how.
I think
'Cause I think people are willing-
I think it's probably both, and there's a lot of people who don't know how. But if they were to stop and ask themselves, like, really, for just write a list, what can I do? Like, what can I do? I can eat food. I can go to the bathroom. I can put my clothes on. I can go shopping. Like, you can do whatever, right? There's tons of, we'll say influencers, and I know that's a super, super loose term, but people on social media, we'll just say it that way, who are doing stuff that, for me, has no inherent value. Opening toys, like, some of our nieces and nephews, they literally watch YouTube hours a day watching other children play with toys.
So
And
do
those
I.
people have millions and millions
Little
of views.
Ryan or Ricky or whatever his name is. Ryan, I think Ryan's Toy Review or
Whatever it is, but it's like they have millions of reviews. They're making hundreds of thousands of dollars as a child or their parents, whoever, by doing something to me seems absolutely valueless, but to millions of people in the world, they're getting tons of value out of that. And so just because something seems valueless to you, obviously it seems valueless most of the time because you already have the knowledge. Like, I wouldn't pay $10 to figure out how to play with that toy. But if somebody will, why not show it to them? And why not take the money? If it's adding value to them and helping them, why not make an exchange out of it?
Mm-hmm. Man, that's right. So how are you doing that right now? Like, what are your main things that you focus on that you're trying to grow?
So I focus on one, public speaking. So I do public speaking. That's what I do.
You enjoy that?
That's like my hobby. I mean, I get paid really well to do it, but it's a hobby, and I love it. And that's when I feel like I'm in my greatest power. So I'll share a story about that. Why that is. When I was like 5 or 6 years old, I don't remember any. And this sounds bad for anybody listening, but it's true. I don't remember feeling loved or cared about or anything as a seventh child in my family, or even thought about in a lot of cases. But I was driving with my grandpa back from the dump one day in his little red Ford Ranger pickup, and we had the radio on, windows down, and he reached up, turned down the radio, put his hand on my knee, and said, Sam, your voice is really pleasant to listen to, and you could be a leader one day, maybe even be on the radio. And for some reason, I knew I didn't want to be on the radio. Heard this thing about a radio voice or something. But I was like, I don't want to do that. But from that moment on, I've always had this identity as somebody who can lead with my voice. And whether it's true or not, I let other people be the judge of that. But for me, that's when I feel the most in alignment with who I am, is when I'm speaking on stage. And so I love that.
Do you know Pete Vargas?
Haven't heard of him.
Do you want to get all the stages in the world?
I like stages in the world, yeah.
But how do you get booked for speeches?
Right now, I work with a few different coaches who I speak on their stages. It's really nice for me. They're life coaches or business coaches or various sorts, and then they say, "Look, I coach you on this. Sam will take care of you when it comes to the finance." And then I get on. I speak for about an hour, and most of the time, I'll make anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 from closed business afterwards.
Yeah, because they like what you said. Yeah, so I'll give you a name. I'll give you a name and number of someone if he's got something. I think it's in Denver. But if you like to speak, go to his thing. He'll show you how to get on so many stages you won't even know what to do with them. And the same thing happens. Ironically, that's why he teaches people, because he knows that if you have the right speech and you get on a stage, the audience is literally a new customer for you. So it's a customer acquisition model.
Mm-hmm.
And you
it's
get
awesome.
a lot of deals that way.
Yeah, so I like that. I do my podcast. My podcast was really started as a way to further serve. I was doing Facebook Live, and then I had a few single moms reach out and say, Sam, I can't sit in front of Facebook and watch your stuff. I got to be doing other things, but I want to listen to it. And so I started my podcast, and I do three episodes a week. First, I introduce a topic, then I do a book review on the topic, then I have a guest on to talk about the topic. So 3 episodes a week, and
that's a lot of work, man. Good job.
It is, and as of right now, I enjoy it. It's fun for me, and then I do help people with the financial side on the side. But when I was looking at the industry, there's a lot of financial people out there who are going to teach you what to do with your money, and then there's the other side of the equation, like Wayne Dyer, Bob Proctor, Lisa Nichols. I mean, there's tons of people over on that side that will teach you about the psychology of money, which is good and needed, absolutely. But when it comes down to is the person who's teaching you about the mindset and the emotional relationship with money, are they actually able to help you and direct you into the actual management of things? And there's very few people who really focus on both, and that's really where I want to fill that need in the market. Not only help them with the mindset aspect of things, but then actually once they're got a good healthy relationship, okay, where do we put it? And some of a lot of that stuff I'm not going to say on the air just because I don't want to get in trouble with.
Yeah, don't get in trouble, whatever
Yeah.
you do.
Compliance. I don't know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not.
So
I
if you
just
could,
don't say
if
anything.
you could have the bomb squad read one book that could help them in this area, what would it be?
I don't know if I would say two. One is The Power of Zero by David McKnight. That is purely focused on understanding taxes and how taxes impact your money. That's a whole nother conversation we didn't even get touch on. But like taxes is something you better understand if you want to increase your wealth on any level. And then the other one would be The Richest Man in Babylon, because it's a very short
wrote that one?
parable. George S. Clausen, I believe.
That is correct.
Yeah. That one is a parable to help you understand like the value of saving even a little bit and making that judgment call of like, look, I know I'm in debt. I mean, the guy was in slavery and his master was nice enough to let him go. But he went back to all of his debtors, even some debtors, and said, look, I can't pay you yet till these other guys get paid. I'm going to pay you X percentage of my income. I'm saving 10% for me. I don't care who you are. I'm saving my 10%. I'll get to your debts when I get to them. I'll pay them in full. I'm not concerned about that. I'm building an identity of wealth.
Yeah, well, that's a good book. And if someone asks me, I say the same book. Like everyone says, biggest book on like if I want to be rich, they always just say rich. If I want to be rich or
Whatever that
successful,
means.
I always say, dude, just go read Richest Man in Babylon, because like that'll guarantee anybody to be rich or successful, whatever that means. Even if they're not making very much money, but you got to get started now. Don't wait. Don't wait till you're my age. Should I start thinking, dude, I better hurry up. I don't have much time left. All these 20-year-olds out there, they're going to either burn the next 20 or 30 years learning, or they're going to start listening to people like you and putting that money away right now. You can always tell too, because like you go look on social media where the young kids basically are having Rolls Royce. Like, dude, maybe they can afford that. I doubt they can at that age, but I don't know their finances and I don't hate them. So good for you. Sure. I did the same dumb shit they're doing. But what I'm worried about is they're throwing the Rolls Royce around and they're showing me, hey, look at me, everybody, I'm successful. When in reality, they're just making really good money. And that's the difference. What I say is the difference between rich and wealthy. Like I've been rich, I've never been wealthy. I'm getting wealthy right now. I've been rich, and that's what most people are, and it's not a good thing. It's not a goal you should have, is to be rich. Rich to me is you make a lot of money, and it looks like it because you spend it. Look at me. Look at my house. Look at my cars. Look at my watches. Look at my trips. Look at my, splurging and my ability to spend. Well, something happens to that income, I'm screwed, right? But wealthy, they're usually the opposite. It's the ones where you didn't even have a clue them some bitches had money because they didn't act like it. They stayed in the Toyota Camry. They sat there and invested that money. And then 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, yeah, they're driving a Rolls Royce. But guess what? That Rolls Royce is free. It's money built off money, built off money, built off money. Yeah. And the Rolls Royces and jets and all that will never break them because their money makes money. Your money makes money.
Yeah, and if you're older listening to this podcast, another book that's good just to understand like how your actions, because one of the big problems in like the research is that their parents have achieved success, and then the children 20, 30,
fail.
20, 25 years old, they come out and they're trying to live the same lifestyle that their parents are living without ever understanding or like building any wealth themselves. And it's actually like Thomas J. Stanley, The Millionaire Next Door. It's a little bit outdated, and there's things in it that you can choose whether you want to abide by or not. But the conversation of understanding how parents are actually crippling their children by financially assisting them. They think they're helping them out. They think, oh, if I buy them a house, then now they don't have to worry about that. Yeah, but now they're going to go into debt trying to furnish that house, and now they're in debt. You didn't help them at all. You just put them in $30,000 worth of furnishing debt rather than teach them how to earn money and live within their means.
Yeah, well, there's some truth to all that, but again, I like Warren Buffett saying, he says he'll give his kids enough to do anything, but not enough to do nothing. Does that make sense? Means he'll give them a little, but he ain't making his kids like just have everything.
That's good.
Yeah, well, you got to earn it a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just in case it takes it away. And not only that, but again, I mean, like money. Once you like get some money, you start to realize that's not really what you really want anyway.
Right.
You want time, you want freedom, you want choices, and money's definitely a factor in that. But I think most people realize once they get money, like, damn, this isn't necessarily what I thought it would be. What else is there? Oh, that's when you go find your spirituality or your freaking loved one or whatever. That's when you start to realize, man, success is a combination of things, and everyone has their own combination.
Yep. And that's why like for me, my phrase that I tell people is helping people become financially confident enough or gain the financial confidence to go create their meaningful legacy, because the financial confidence is not the issue. It's the issue, but it's not what they want. They want the meaningful legacy. They want one of the 6 basic needs of importance or recognition or certainty, whatever it is. They want that, but their hindrance is the money. So that's where I help people focus on their end goal, what they really want, and then assist them to gain that financial confidence.
Well, where do they follow you? I'm sure people listening are going to be like, man, I like this cat. Where do they follow you?
So you can go to samknickerbocker.com. You can also, if you text my phone number, then it's 385-263-7699.
Damn, you're going to give them your phone number?
Say again?
You're going to give them your phone number?
Oh, it's a business line.
Oh,
so
okay. I was going to
just
say,
for
damn, dude,
breakdowns.
you might get a whole bunch of people texting you.
No, it's a business line. I already get enough weirdos texting me. I gave out my personal line way too long in business. I need to go change it, I think.
Yeah,
But,
I was going to say that's crazy.
Yeah,
but,
no. It's a business line. So if you text that number, then it'll auto-respond, let me know who you are, and then I can give you access to a webinar that I do, just a legacy blueprint, understanding some basic concepts about being worthy, debt, value exchange, and how to like actually legacize a budget and make yourself.
And rumor
focus
has
on
it,
the right
Uriel
things.
says you have a VT system now.
That's true. I
So
do.
one of these days you're going to have an interactive training system where you can be in their pocket 24/7, 365.
That's
Training,
that's the
making
goal,
sure
helping
people understand how to heal their money problems. And I'll tell you, I'm glad you came in, because people do have money problems. People do have relationship with money problems, and people are sabotaging themselves because they're not finding out the facts. So folks, do me a favor. Number one, share and rate this, or go rate and review this podcast, but share it more importantly, because again, you never know who it's going to help. And then the other favor is follow Samuel Knickerbocker, my friends. Are you on IG?
Yeah, Sam Knickerbocker on IG, Samuel Knickerbocker on Facebook.
Yeah, go find him up, hit him up, #Bomb Squad, or text him, dropping bombs, get that free ebook and that material he'll send you. And until next time, make sure that you always save your money, kids, and then don't blow it. Was that worth it? Don't save your money, kids. Use it. Money's a tool.